In the summer of 1940, the fate of Britain hung in the balance. As the Luftwaffe swept across the skies, one fighter stood as the backbone of the Royal Air Force. While the Spitfire captured imaginations, it was the Hawker Hurricane that bore the brunt of the battle. This is the story of the unsung hero of the Battle of Britain, the Hawker Hurricane. The Hawker Hurricane, often overshadowed by its more famous counterpart, was a British single-seat fighter aircraft designed and built by Hawker Aircraft. Entering service in 1937, the Hurricane was a monoplane fighter that played a decisive role in the early years of World War II. Known for its rugged construction and adaptability, the Hurricane became the workhorse of the Royal Air Force, serving not only as an interceptor but also as a fighter bomber and ground attack aircraft. From the skies over southern England to the deserts of North Africa and the frozen fields of the Eastern Front, the Hurricane's versatility and reliability made it a critical asset in the Allied arsenal. The story of the Hurricane begins in the early 1930s, a period of rapid technological change in military aviation. At the time, biplanes still dominated the world's air forces, but the need for faster, more powerful monoplane fighters was clear. Sidney Cam, chief designer at Hawker Aircraft, began work on a new monoplane fighter in 1934. Drawing on Hawker's experience with biplanes, Cam's design incorporated a traditional structure but pushed the boundaries with a retractable undercarriage and enclosed cockpit. The prototype, powered by a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, took to the skies for its first flight on November 6, 1935. After successful trials, the Hurricane entered RAF service in 1937, becoming Britain's first 8-gun monoplane fighter. As war loomed, the Hurricane was produced in increasing numbers, forming the backbone of fighter command at the outbreak of World War II. The Hawker Hurricane's design was a blend of old and new. Early variants featured a mixed construction, with a metal frame covered in fabric, a legacy of earlier biplanes. This made the Hurricane lighter and easier to repair, especially in field conditions. Later versions incorporated more metal skinning for added durability. The aircraft was powered by the legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin piston engine, providing over 1,000 horsepower and a top speed of around 340 miles per hour, depending on the variant. The Hurricane's wings housed its primary armament and could be adapted for different weapons as the war progressed. With a wingspan of 40 feet and a length of 32 feet, the Hurricane was robust yet maneuverable, with a single pilot operating the aircraft. Its design allowed for rapid production and repair, a crucial advantage during the intense air battles of World War II. The Hurricane entered service with an armament of 8.303-inch Browning machine guns, giving it formidable firepower for its time. As the war evolved, so did the Hurricane's weaponry. Later variants were equipped with 20mm Hispano cannons, bombs, and even rockets, enabling the aircraft to take on ground attack and fighter-bomber roles. The Hurricane's relatively simple systems made it reliable and easy to maintain, even under harsh conditions. Its robust undercarriage allowed it to operate from rough airstrips and makeshift fields. The aircraft's versatility was further demonstrated by its ability to be fitted with tropical filters for desert operations and modifications for naval use as the Sea Hurricane. The Hurricane's adaptability ensured it remained relevant as new threats and missions emerged throughout the conflict. The Hurricane's combat debut came during the early stages of World War II, seeing action in the Battle of France and the evacuation at Dunkirk. However, it was during the Battle of Britain in 1940 that the Hurricane cemented its place in history. Hurricanes accounted for more than half of the RAF's air victories during the battle, engaging enemy bombers and fighters in fierce dogfights. As the war expanded, Hurricanes served in every major theater. In North Africa, they provided crucial air support for Allied ground forces. On the Eastern Front, Hurricanes supplied under Lend-Lease bolstered Soviet defenses. The aircraft also saw service in the Far East, the Mediterranean, and as a fighter bomber over occupied Europe. By war's end, over 14,000 Hurricanes had been built, serving with the air forces of more than a dozen nations. The Hurricane's greatest strength lay in its ruggedness and ease of repair. Damaged aircraft could often be patched up and returned to service within hours. Its forgiving handling characteristics made it suitable for both novice and experienced pilots. The Hurricane's adaptability allowed it to be modified for a wide range of roles, from interceptor to ground attack and even as a night fighter. During the Battle of Britain, its stability and firepower made it especially effective against enemy bombers. In overseas theaters, the Hurricane's robust construction and reliable engine proved invaluable in harsh environments, from the deserts of North Africa to the snows of Russia. The aircraft's contribution to Allied victory, especially in the critical early years of the war, cannot be overstated. Despite its many strengths, the Hurricane was not without its limitations. Its fabric-covered structure, while easy to repair, was a transitional design that became increasingly outdated as all-metal fighters emerged. The aircraft's top speed and climb rate were soon outclassed by newer enemy fighters, such as the Messerschmitt Bf 109. Early armament, though formidable in 1937, became insufficient against more heavily armored opponents. As the war progressed, the Hurricane was gradually relegated to ground attack and secondary roles, replaced in frontline service by faster, more advanced aircraft like the Supermarine Spitfire and the Hawker Typhoon. By the end of World War II, the Hurricane had largely been retired from combat. For historical context, the Hawker Hurricane should be read as a product of a specific requirement, not as an isolated machine. It was built by Hawker Aircraft for United Kingdom, with the intended role of World War II monoplane fighter and fighter bomber. Its first flight is recorded as November 6, 1935, and its service entry is recorded as 1937 with the Royal Air Force. Those dates matter because they place the aircraft inside the technology, doctrine, budget pressure, and threat assumptions of its era. The technical story also depends on how the airframe connected structure, propulsion, systems, and crew workload. Key recorded details include crew, 1 pilot, engine, Rolls-Royce Merlin piston engine, structure, mixed metal and fabric construction on early variants, weapons, machine guns, later cannon, bombs, and rockets, mission, interceptor, fighter bomber, and ground attack. In practical terms, an aircraft is never just an engine or a wing. Range, speed, radar, sensors, targeting equipment, weapons, avionics, fuel capacity, maintenance access, and mission planning all decide whether the design can do useful work repeatedly. The operational record of the Hawker Hurricane is tied to World War II, Battle of Britain, North African Campaign, Eastern Front via Lend-Lease. Those examples show how the aircraft performed away from brochures and test figures. Combat service, patrol work, reconnaissance, training, deterrence, and deployment tempo all reveal different truths. A design that looks strong on paper still depends on crews, spare parts, weather, basing, intelligence, rules of engagement, and the ability to return for another sortie. The main strength of the Hawker Hurricane was rugged and easier to repair than many contemporaries, major role in the Battle of Britain, adapted to ground attack in overseas theaters. That strength did not mean perfection. It meant the aircraft gave commanders a useful answer to a real problem. The best way to judge it is to ask what mission it made easier, what earlier limitation it solved, and whether operators kept trusting it after the first years of service. The main weakness and limitation of the Hawker Hurricane was less high-speed performance than later fighters. Early armament became insufficient, fabric-covered structure was a transitional design. Its later status is best summarized as retired as faster and more advanced fighters replaced it. Every military aircraft eventually needs newer sensors, newer missiles, changed budgets, aging structures, and different doctrine. That is why the final verdict has to balance reputation against evidence, what the aircraft promised, what it actually delivered, and what it cost to keep useful. A final practical point is sustainment. The Hawker Hurricane required trained pilots, ground crews, inspections, spare parts, fuel, weapons handling, and mission planning before it could produce a useful sortie. That support system is part of the aircraft's real history. Performance figures explain what a machine might do once airborne, but readiness, repair time, training quality, safety margins, and upgrade paths explain whether an air arm could keep using it year after year. Today, the Hawker Hurricane is remembered as the unsung hero of the Battle of Britain and one of the most important fighters of World War II. Its ruggedness, adaptability, and sheer numbers made it a cornerstone of Allied air power in the war's most desperate moments. Though retired from frontline service, the Hurricane's legacy endures in museums and airshows, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of those who built and flew her. For more stories of aviation history and the machines that shaped our world, subscribe and join us for the next episode.